Hi, I'm Annika Johnson from Al Johnson's in Sister Bay. I hope you enjoy my new video series called Door County Girl. These are stories of my life, the people and places that I love, and of course how we all survive here in northern Wisconsin. You can come back as often as you like, but don't forget to subscribe to Al's YouTube channel. I'll be posting lots of really cool new videos. So let's go! Welcome to another episode of Door County Girl, and today I'm here at the Corner of the Past Museum in Sister Bay, and I'm at the Sister Bay Historical Society's venue, which I just got a chance to walk around in. And tonight, my brother Rolf Johnson is going to be giving a little talk and tell some stories about Al Johnson's Swedish restaurant, and it's part of Sister Bay Stories. So I hope you can all join us tonight. So let's go.
What I'd like to do right now is introduce Kid Boots, who's a very involved member of the Al Johnson's business family, and he's going to introduce Rolf. So please give him a welcome.
Thanks, John. So I get to talk about some of my favorite things, Al Johnson's. I love Al Johnson's, love working there. So I love audience participation. So who's eating at Al Johnson's? Raise their hand. Okay, round two. Who has worked at Al Johnson's?
Our son.
Okay. And then question number three, who wore their best pair of clogs today for this? You see that? Ralph's got a pretty stylish pair. So the title is More Than Goats, and I think it alludes to the people that are behind it. And everybody that's worked there are definitely the foundation to Al Johnson's, but it wouldn't happen without the family. And here's a little bit of history. Rolf is hot off of 10 hours in the kitchen. If you ate there today, he made your food, I can guarantee it. So everybody give a big round of applause to Rolf Johnson.
You know, if stand by there. I'll be right over there.
Rolf, before you start,
yes, sir.
do a moment of silence for my classmate, John Fletcher, who just passed away, was the president here.
Absolutely. Can you just join Mr. Van Voorst in a moment of silence? His classmate just passed away, as you just heard him say. So everybody's just want to take one moment. All right, I'm sorry to hear about that, Mr. Van Voorst, but, oh, I didn't know that. I'm learning something here today then. Very nice, very nice. So, Kit, you might have to help me out with this thing again. I don't know how to, it wants your face, not mine on there. Yeah. This is my remote control. All right. So anyway, thank you all for being here. I think the Historical Society is a great society. I love history. I didn't realize I was living it all this time. I used to go hang out with Jakey Kadanko every Sunday afternoon when I get done working. I'd work an open shift. I'd be done about 3 o'clock, and I'd drive over to Jakey on Beach Road, and we'd sit there, and everybody shows up. Moxie, Tombstone. I go, you guys know these names. And it was funny to sit there and listen to these guys tell stories all the way from when they were little boys and riding their bicycles down to the Anderson dock and watch the steamships come in and stuff like that. So these people are disappearing, so it's good that we record a lot of these things or tell the story and retell the stories again and again. So anyway, like Kit said, it's more than just goats. Started back in 1948, 49. Al had... well, let's go back further yet. Al was actually born in 1925, in December 9th, and he claims he was the largest baby ever born in the state of Illinois. My dad likes to tell a lot of stories. So my sister, about 2002, somebody broke the record of the largest baby born in Illinois. So my sister showed it to my dad, and my dad said, they didn't keep records when I was back. That was 4 ounces heavier than that. 16 pounds, 4 ounces, he says. Yeah, no is right. I don't believe it. So anyway, here we are, the history of Al Johnson's More Than Goats. Let's see what I got up here. Well, there's a good-looking guy right there. That's me. So, let's see. Well, Al's favorite child. They got that right. Best Swedish pancake maker. True. Storytelling, pretty good. Everybody knows that, right? Handsome guy, I'd say. So where are we at? The largest baby. There is a story I just told you. He's full of baloney. So, Al Johnson growing up. This is out in Appleport, about 4 miles straight off out in Double Z. And on the very end, head Appleport south. There was a log cabin back there, and I believe the family's name was Wyman, is that right? And Al used to spend his summers out there. So when Al was small, to get him off the streets of Chicago, him and his sister would be sent up here by his mom and his dad. And I remember I used to ask my dad, how long did it take? He said, well, when you got to Green Bay and north, a lot of the roads were dirt roads and gravel roads, so it wasn't uncommon for your car to break down. And he said sometimes it would be a two-day trip just from Green Bay. But here he's sitting up. Al was a big dog lover, big animal lover of all types. He's sitting there, and that dog right there, I don't see it here, but to the right of the cabin, there was a dog house built in the side of the mud hill there. And that dog got sprayed by a skunk one night, and they wouldn't let him in the house. And Al loved that dog so much, he slept out in the dog house with the dog. He was actually a horseback rider, accomplished one at that. This is probably right out in Appleport still somewhere there before you saw the trees grow up. Could be a number of anybody behind him there. When he was young, one of his good friends was Wink Larson. You guys know Al Johnson. Wink Larson was the guy that had the hand in putting the goats on the roof. So Al was also in the service, 101st Airborne, 502nd, I believe. Is that right, Mr. Van Voorhis? I think you said. Yeah, so anyway, and he was also a track star. So in that picture there, he's running the open leg of an 800 relay, 880 back then, it was in yards. And I asked him about that one time, and he said that that is right behind them is Eagle's Nest. So they had just gone in and liberated, and they took over, and then they were some of the first, 101st was some of the first guys to show up at Eagle's Nest. And they set up below on the ground level in the valley, they set up an army base, and they had sports and stuff like that. So he also claims at that time, he also ran an 800 open, and he was 0.4 of a second off the world record at that time. And I verified this when I went to Marquette to look up some old history books, and he did hold a number of records at the Chicago relays, but the records were being broken all the time back then, but it was pretty interesting. So this is early in Sister Bay, and if I get one of these wrong, I don't think, let's see, the far, far left over there is my Uncle Ellis, who met his maker off of Little Sister. He couldn't swim a lick, and he was out fishing one day and fell in. I think the next one is Dave Youngworth, but I'm not 100% sure. Eddie Scheider, recognized by the hat. I think it's one of the Kadankos, and of course there's my dad there. All right, Orrin Hansen, original owner of Al Johnson's Swedish Restaurant before it was Al Johnson's Swedish Restaurant. It was the IGA stores, Hansen's IGA. And you can see the next picture is where the remodel came to. And you can kind of pick out where the upper living quarters were. That was Al's office for a short period of time. I remember all these plaques out front here. These are all the provinces of Sweden. And we still have those. We're going to probably use them someday somewhere. I'm not sure when and where. But Al bought this place from Orrin Hansen and he had the idea of turning it into a restaurant. Up until then, Al was coming up here in his late high school and college years working for Johnny Veith's, Johnny's Cottage Restaurant, right down the road, which is now the Wild Tomato. Before it was a Wild Tomato, it was Sister Bay Cafe. So when Al told Johnny he wanted to buy this place down the street and open it and turn it into a restaurant, Johnny wished him well and said, location, 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 and he was 100% right. And then the further down the road, my manager, David Dobner, we affectionately call Dabo, he left Al Johnson's after working there since he was about 12 years old. And I don't remember the year, I think it was around 1991, and he's gonna buy Johnny's Cottage Restaurant. And my dad says, location, location, location. So it came around again, really, you know. It was pretty neat, actually. What do we got here? Oh, okay, this is the original inside of Al Johnson's. That's the diner. The counter is still there. Obviously, it's not a horseshoe-shaped counter. If you look at that refrigerator in the background, we got that same cooler today. We just don't have the uprise on it. And that's where we store all the whipped cream, milk, and stuff like that. And the tile floor is still under the carpet. It's red and white, and I don't think the Formica is top, or the side is there anymore. I think it's paneling now. This is a side shot. This would have been between Chris Red Owl and the restaurant. And they're looking right at the Village Hall there. Looks pretty much the same. And to the right of the Village Hall is the information booth at that time. There's Danny Peterson. That must be probably around 53, my guess is. Not 100% sure. Recently, we were taking apart the dining room and lifting the ceiling, and under the ceiling tiles, under the next ceiling tiles, and under the next ceiling tiles, there was a tile that signed Danny Peterson. And he didn't date it, but I have to guess around 1953 to 1960, somewhere in that ballpark when we changed the ceiling tile. So I saved it, of course, and I got it sitting in my office right now. Danny, of course, is the owner of the was the owner of the Viking Restaurant, which just sold this year. Let's see, there's another pretty neat tidbit in the restaurant when we uncovered the ceiling, was that there's a long metal beam that pretty much supports the whole roof. And on the bottom of it is sketched out Burns Brothers Lumber, because that's where that came from, and the date on there. So that was pretty neat, 1974. And there is another shot. That'd be looking out from the back of the restaurant, near the kitchen, looking straight out to the street. That was the entrance there. You can read in the sign backwards there, Al Johnson Swedish Restaurant, Swedish Home Cooking, in reverse there. This is the way we order at Al's, so.
My dad, he worked for a diner, and when he was working there, he realized that nothing was written down in the kitchen. So the servers would come into the kitchen and call in their orders. Everybody in the kitchen had a responsibility, and the orders would come up simultaneously. And here at Al Johnson's, we have incorporated the same thing.
As far as I know, we might be the only restaurant that uses this system as far as, you know, how many people we serve at a day. So the servers come in, they have their chicken written down, and then they basically scream it out to the kitchen crew that has to remember each item that is ordered. Each guy in the kitchen has a specific section that they're in charge of. So you listen to that section, forget about the rest of the stuff, but you still have to pretty much remember the whole order.
You take the orders and you do write them down, and then they teach you that you have to call the order in, that it has to be in a special order. And you can kind of visualize it like the kitchen is laid out. Here are the pancakes grilled, so the pancakes always comes first.
Then it goes to the broiler, which would be steaks or fish, then over to the grill, and then to the fryer, and then to our cold section, which is anything not cooked.
When we take the orders at the table, we just write that down on a ticket. So on the back of the ticket, we train all the girls to write it on the back of the ticket.
When a server calls in their order, it has to be in that sequence because each cook is waiting for their department to be called.
When you first start working in the kitchen, you like think that this is no way you're going to be able to remember all this stuff. But after a while, it's such a simple system and it works great for us. And there's just no way, I just can't see for us to go to a normal like printer system like most restaurants has. But like we have a very fast turnover on the food from the time the servers take the order at the table till the food actually is back at the table. As far as I know, we're the only one that uses this system.
Our food here does come out very fast, and I like to think that's because the restaurant runs like a machine. It's once people are seated, the server is there within a couple minutes. You know, they have a couple minutes to peruse the menu, or as long as they'd like. But once that order is taken, that server is going back into the kitchen, calling the order in. The turnaround time is super fast.
It's always breakfast first in the right order. Pancakes first, then eggs. And eggs are complicated. Everybody thinks that, oh, that'll be easy, eggs. Yeah, no, it's not, because they're over easy, they're up, they're poached, they're scrambled, they're over hard. 5 ways to eat 1 egg.
Somebody calls an order out of line, and let's say they call in the grill first and then the pancake. Let's, redo, because they are systematic. It's, it's like a machine.
As smartphones and technology and computers have gotten better, people have come in and of course they want to try to sell you a product, and when they come in and see our system and how it works, they right away say, this is amazing. Don't change a thing because it works, and you've got great managers that train the staff, and we're lucky enough. Most of our employees have been with us a long time. Some of them have started at the age of 14 and worked their way through high school, college, and grad school.
It's unbelievable how they can do it. I don't know how the cooks can do it. Like some food takes 5 minutes, some 9, that it all comes up at the same time. And there is 11 girls standing there just yelling. It's amazing. They really are good.
Yeah, that's right. So my brother had said that, that was Lars up there saying the don't change a thing statement. We used to have a guy come into Al's once in a while. His name was, shoot, it escapes me now. But he was the head of the number cruncher for Let Us Entertain You, which was a huge conglomerate that runs a bunch of restaurants from the East Coast to the West Coast, most prominent in Chicago. And he used to, Shabar, his name was. Anyway, he used to come in and ask us to come back in the kitchen and watch it work. And he was just amazed by it because he sold those systems. And he said, there's no way I could compete. There's no way. So there's Danny Peterson and Helen Linden. And then who do we have here? It's Helen Linden, and I don't know who that is. Lucille Johnson. And Elaine. Not Greta, one of them's Elaine, right? That's Greta's sister. Yeah, oh, okay, sure, sure. And so this is back in the kitchen, and I'm getting help here from the Winky's famous Winky Larson's wife over here. She knows, Audrey knows everybody in here because she's worked for many years there as well. Now the bottom left-hand corner, I'd like to make up a story about that, but I can't. It says Mrs. Johnson's Coffee Shop. The last time I showed this picture somewhere, somebody correct me where it was. That is actually in Ephraim, and I believe it's by Maple Grove when you turn to go to the airport. And somebody gave us the photograph thinking we had something to do with it. We don't. So it got thrown in there. And somebody worked for them. That building is still standing. You'll see it if you go through Ephraim by the left. It's a log building right there. And that used to be, Mom, I think you told me that there was a Mrs. Johnson that, her name was, I want to say her name was Luann or something like that. But somebody at the last meeting that we had actually worked there and lived there. Audrey? No?
I don't know who that is. No. Who is that?
I don't remember who that is, but I do remember that setup right there. That's the dishwashing section to this day. That phone was slammed many times by Al Johnson.
Is that the famous phone?
That's the famous phone. And what was funny about when a phone call came in, the cord was extra long so he could pace out into the dining room and talk and scream at the same time. And you know, we used to have some pranksters at Al. One of them was Ken and Bunda, and every time he answered the phone and it was my mother, he'd say, "Al, telephone." Al would say, "Who the hell is it?" And he'd say, "It's Winky." And he'd get on the phone and he said, "What the hell do you want?" And it would be my mother. And then he always said, "Bleep, bleep, you, Ken and Bunda." Here at the lunch counter at Al Johnson's, from the left is Robbie Kadanko, Baldy Breidenhagen, famous sheriff of Door County. The next one, somebody that I was wondering if one of the... He was one of the cops. Yeah, it's, I think it might be Carmody. He was a sheriff before Baldy, I believe. And then the far right might just be some...
That's Floyd.
Oh, you know...
Veronica, is that close?
That's Floyd?
That's Floyd.
I thought it was Vakes, but maybe you're right. You'd be right before I would there. So.
The other lady was Genevieve Söderberg.
Oh, Genevieve Söderberg. Okay, that was the lady that I paused on with the picture with the telephone. This is about 1959, 1960. My mom. This is probably at their wedding. And I got another funny story about this. Years later, we used to always go to the Hillside Drive-In, or the Hillside Restaurant in Ellison Bay, and my mom would always say, "I have a secret," and we'd have to guess what it was. So this is probably around 1998. Now, she was married in 1960. So in 1998, what was her secret? At the table, we were having Thanksgiving dinner. She was wearing the dress she was married in. And she fit in it like a glove, and my dad did not know it.
These stories are wonderful, so if you have a chance to come and see some of these Sister Bay stories, you should come and check it out. Rolf is a ham bone, as usual, and told a really good series of stories, and I think everyone enjoyed it. So thanks for joining us for another episode of Door County Girl, and don't forget to like and subscribe at the bottom of the page, and we'll give you all kinds of other things you can check out in Door County and all around where I live. Bye everyone. Thanks for watching Door County Girl. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you next time.